It's time to laugh, learn, and take your photography to the next level with your favorite cowgirls with cameras, Kara, Kim, and Phyllis.
Welcome to the Cowgirls with Cameras podcast. I'm Kim with Be More Business and Kim Beer Photography.
I'm Kara with Fast Horse Photography.
And I'm Phyllis with Phyllis Burchett Photo. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. We have already had quite the adventure this morning in microphones.
Thanks to Phyllis.
Well, was it just you?
Yeah, I'm going to work on not heavy breathing into the mic, everyone. So apparently that's a problem I have.
Now they're going to want to know why you're heavy breathing, Kara.
I just was. Apparently I'm a heavy breather.
It's all good. It is all good now. Phyllis's mic is working. Hopefully my mic is working. Kara's mic is working. And we are here and on video. We have 2 episodes that are already on YouTube that people are actually watching, which is terrifying.
That is scary. We are not camera trained.
No, we are not.
Please don't judge us.
So what have you guys been up to? What have you been up to? You two have actual like news. I don't have much for news, but
I mean, we had the Horses on the Beach workshop, which was awesome. Other than just worrying about weather, it was so awesome. We had awesome models. We had great photographers that joined us, and the beach was as lovely as ever. So it was great.
We had a really nice group of photographers that joined us. Mm-hmm. And I really love that you had so much variety in your models and horses this year too, Kara. And I love the side saddle. And of course, that was so pretty with Earl and everything. So
yeah, that was so fun when so it's funny because, I know my local people and I know how they ride normally and stuff like that. And I had been chatting with Cheryl, who is in charge of the Ag Museum, the equestrian program over there. So I always check in with her because they usually do one of the mornings. And I was like, who do we got this year that wants to come ride? And she mentioned Simone, which I love photographing Simone. And I was corresponding with Simone's mom, Dag, who is kind of Earl's handler, who's the horse. And we were chit-chatting and she's like, just mentions offhand that they have a side saddle. And she collects tack and loves tack. And she's, ridden side saddle and all of this. And I was like, where has this little secret been hiding for all the years that I've known you and photographed you? So it's just funny. It's just such a reminder to like ask people, is there anything unique about what you do with your horse? Or does your horse have any special tricks? Or because you just never know what us photographers are going to want to photograph. And oh my gosh, it was so stunning. She had this like blue shirt. And then she had originally showed me a picture of a blue skirt that went with the side saddle. I guess it would be like a riding habit, maybe like a riding skirt. And it was very stiff. It was kind of an older, maybe even like kind of a actual vintage skirt. And I was looking at the picture and I'm like, it's very stiff. And she said, I said, maybe we could order something else. And she was just like, I understand the assignment. You want it to be flowy. She like made a skirt out of curtains, that gray skirt in those pictures. And it was super flowy and beautiful and stunning. It was like perfect. It was so perfect. So anyway, when I say
Gone
that,
with the Wind, that's very Gone with the Wind.
I just, people should understand that it's a lot of work for us to coordinate, but the work and care that the models put into like making sure that they have a good look and their horses behaved. And I mean, they go down to the beach and practice it before this event. And it just, I don't know, it's always super humbling that people are willing to come out and do that for us.
I thought her, when she first came out with when she changed outfits to the Western, at first I thought it was side saddle too. I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But I mean, her Western outfit was super cute too.
Yeah. Did you see that saddle too?
Yeah, I did. It was really neat. Yeah.
It was a neat saddle. Her mom, Dag, loves tack and she loves the history of tack. So she has a bunch of tack and is always like research. She told me the whole story about this whole side saddle history when we were walking. So it was really interesting.
It was a neat weekend, fun weekend. The Princess Place was beautiful. All the horses behaved.
They were all very good this year. We missed you though, Kim.
I missed you guys too. I stayed home to work and to learn how to bake sourdough bread. That's been my January adventure. I've gotten a lot of work done. I've recorded a lot of YouTube videos. They're wonderfully up, and then I'm in my sourdough era and failing miserably, but it will all be well. And I was bummed. I did have a lot of FOMO. I the part of it that I think I missed as much as the shooting. I won't say more, but as much as the shooting.
Sleeping on the air mattress in my office.
Well, no, the thing I missed the most was hanging out with my friends. I missed being around you and Betsy and Phyllis and being in that community, and seeing all of the photographers. That was a big bummer. But the thing I wanted to do was I wanted to play with the flowers again. I really enjoyed that.
We didn't have flowers this year though.
Well, see, that was the reason I didn't have to come. There were no fake flowers to form into a wreath. So, but I did miss you guys, and I was super bummed that I couldn't come hang out. That's the part that was. It's so much fun to come just hang out at Kara's house.
Who knew that we would have a tornado hit the St. Augustine beach that Sunday morning?
Oh my gosh. So we had weather, right? And so we had been agonizing all day about what are we going to do about the weather tomorrow morning? It's like 100% chance of thunderstorms, right? So we finally made the agonizing decision that we needed to cancel that shoot and do something else. And I just kept saying the weather had better show up and really justify this decision. So when we should have been getting on the road to head to the location, alarms are going off on all the devices in the house, one after another, and probably 10 different devices in my house were having alarms go off between Phyllis's and Betsy's and my son's and my husband's and mine. And it was tornado warning. That's the bad one, right? Warning, the one where they've seen one.
It's the warning. The warning means take shelter.
The beach. It was at the location where we would have been shooting was a tornado. So then people were like, man, I'm really glad we aren't out there shooting in a tornado. And someone else piped in like, it would have been really cool though to see a horse on the beach with a tornado in the background. And I'm like, what?
Honestly, I
not
agree
so much
with
for
that
the horse.
person.
Let's leave that to AI.
I agree. I would have loved to have seen a horse running with a tornado. And that would be a very Midwestern thing to do. Real quick, I got my camera, run the horse across there, and then we'll go into the shelter.
No, thank you.
We're the goofballs who stand on our front porch and watch the tornadoes form and only run in at the last minute.
Well,
that's because you can see them. You can see them for so far. You don't have any trees like we. Well, you have trees, but
we have trees, but
I can't.
They're above the trees.
I can't see a tornado till it's like right on me almost.
Oh, same.
We have short trees. We don't have tall trees like you guys have.
Yeah.
We have short trees. So even though we do have trees, they're above it. So are you guys ready to dive into our topic of the day?
We probably should at this point. We've digressed to tornado talk. So
yes, I think we have gotten pretty far from photography, although
I guess I'll talk about my debacle next time then.
Okay. We have another episode to record after this one. So
that sounds good.
Y'all have to tune in to hear about Phyllis's debacle.
Yes. Yeah, she has bad news and good news. Okay, so teaser for next episode. So today what we're talking about is photo contests. And this whole month is dedicated to using your photos, to getting your photos out there in the world and being able to get them seen by people. And one of the best ways to do that is through photography contests. And Kara, you have some insight on why photography contests are important and some basic information that I think you should share first. And then Phyllis and I will dive in with some further detail.
Okay. Yeah. You know how I am. I'm always like, well, why would someone want to do this in the first place? So yes. I went down that rabbit hole for all of you so that you can decide if it's right for you. So here's why you might want to submit your work to photography contests. The first reason would be just, it's a great way to get exposure out in the world. It's a great way to be recognized. Entering contests just gets your work out in front of a larger audience. It might be in front of industry professionals or even potential clients if it's in a format where they might be out and about and seeing your work. you just never know who's going to see your images and who might reach out for a collaboration, or even potentially a paid project down the line. And then winning or being recognized, I don't know, it feels good. It's a validation. It just validates that your work is worthy and to other people and not just mom, and that it's something that you should be proud of. So when you start winning awards and getting recognized, that's just another thing that you can talk about online. You can put it on your website. It's another way that your imagery is out there in the world, and it's good for social proof. So another reason that a lot of people like to enter contests is for the feedback side of it and the skill development side of it. So there are some contests out there that will provide feedback from experienced judges, and they give you just valuable insights on how you can rework or refine your work. So even just the time that you spend going through and selecting images and preparing them for submission is going to force you to take a real hard look at your photography, pay closer attention to some of the technical details and composition that you might not always pay attention to on a regular basis. So just going through that process is going to elevate your skill level. Another reason that you might want to think about contests is for the networking opportunities that can come from that. Photography contests will connect you with other like-minded creatives, industry professionals, and even potentially photography mentors if you're looking for something like that. It's just a place where you're going to find yourself in conversations where you're going to have new opportunities pop up, potential, like I said, collaborations, and then you're going to make friends. I know people that have entered contests together. They've worked together to submit their images to make sure that they're following the guidelines, and then they end up setting up like a support group around that continues even after the competition itself. Just motivation and creativity. Contests will push you outside your comfort zone. They oftentimes have themes or special challenges that might inspire you to try a new technique, maybe photograph something different, or take some creative risks that you hadn't considered before. And in my experience with being in contests, it gets me inspired a little bit. It gives me kind of a new passion for the subject matter because I'm looking at things differently. So just getting you out there with a fresh perspective towards your work. The fifth thing that I have is prizes. Most of these contests have some kind of reward. It could be a cash prize. It could be product prize, like new gear. It even could be a publication feature. So adding a contest win or even just an honorable mention to your portfolio just makes it even more appealing to your potential clients and adds credibility to your photography brand. And then the last thing I have is it's just fun and personal fulfillment. So at the end of the day, participating in a photography contest is fun. It's a chance to engage within your photography community, push yourself a little further, and just, enjoy having your work appreciated out in the world. We all love that. So what I have to say now, I have to do the flip side because I learned some things about the dirty side of photography contests. So they're not
the dirty side of photography.
So not all photography contests are worth your time and money. Some are really great opportunities, while others are nothing more than a cash grab. So here's what to look for before entering. And this was something I learned the hard way early on. So first of all, entry fees. I would say that most photography contests I've entered in had a fee. That's not an unusual thing. It's a reasonable to expect an entry fee. It helps cover things like administrative costs, those prizes that we all want, judging. And I have seen it range anywhere from $10 to $40. I think on average, I see it around $30, $35. I don't know what does PPA charge now?
I think it's 25 to enter, and then it's an additional 10 or 20 to get you.
So it's within that range as well. Okay.
I will know that here in a moment. I've paid it. You would think I would know it.
Okay.
Is that per image, Kim?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of them will let you enter multiple images for whatever the entry is.
Yeah.
But PPA's merit review system requires you to do both, and it's separate.
So take a look at what those fees are. I would say if it's a sky high fee and it doesn't have a clear explanation on what the fees are going towards, that's a red flag. Make sure the contest is transparent about where the money's going, if it's for to fund prizes or to pay for judges or just to support the photography community in some way. And then you can make a decision around that. You definitely want to read the fine print in regards to rights of your images. Some contests claim excessive rights over submitted images, using them for commercial purposes or even using your image and reselling prints without compensation. A legitimate contest should only use your work to showcase the winners or promote the competition. If the terms ask for a perpetual or non-exclusive license without clear compensation, you have to decide if that's worth it for you to continue to enter. So definitely pay close attention to that. I have heard stories of photographers that have had their work submitted into a contest and then they've seen it on cards and in artwork, and the contest itself has put that image to work for them. So that's to me, that's shady. So keep an eye out for that. Another thing to think about is the reputation of the contest. So before submitting, spend some time just kind of researching that contest itself. You can Google it. You can look for contest reviews. You can ask people that have entered before what their experience was like in that contest. And I would say that competitions with no track record, it doesn't mean you shouldn't enter. It could be a new contest, but definitely just check out and make sure it's not a scam. Check out the judging panel as well. So they should have a judge. Are the judges reputable? Are they experienced photographers? Are they industry professionals? Are they people that you can look up and learn about? And are they, I would even say subject specific. We are equine photographers. And if you're entering a competition, are any of the photographers equine photographers? It's kind of a new thing in some of these competitions to make sure that horse photographers are included as judges. So just even thinking about that is important. And then prize value, if you're paying an entry fee, make sure the prize justifies the cost. If the contest collects, thousands of entries, but offers a really weak reward, the chances of you being recognized or, getting any gain from that might be really small. There are sometimes hidden costs with some of these contests. So some competitions will, lure in a photographer with a free entry only to demand payment later for inclusion of books, exhibitions, or special promotions. So if a contest suddenly asks for extra fees after you've entered, just be cautious. If it gives you that icky feeling, there's probably a reason for that. I mean, trust your gut. I definitely have seen people get scammed into the book after the contest, paying to be in the book. I've seen that. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's kind of cool to be in a book. And if you're comfortable with that, great. But make sure it's going towards a cause you believe in and it's not just lining somebody's pocket. And then the last piece here is just around purpose and community impact. I think some of the best contests do more than hand out prizes. So if you can, look for competitions that align with your values. Maybe they support new photographers, fund scholarships, or promote important causes that have meaning to you. There's one that I enter here locally that it doesn't do much for me personally, but I enter it because my entry fee supports a local animal rescue. So it's just a nice thing to do and it feels good. So enter contests that contribute to something meaningful, can add value beyond just the potential winning. So that's all I have. If you guys have anything you want to add to that, I think I did both sides of the coin there for folks to get us started.
That's all good points.
Well, definitely there are some shady contests. And that whole thing about getting it featured in the book, boy, that is like poetry. They seek out poets to do that. Oh, be part of the National Poetry Anthology. Oh, it only costs $250 to get your poem published in the book. Or you've been selected for this. I'm always a little suspicious of things. My personal experience with photography contests has been relatively positive. My first big break came from the Missouri State Fair. I entered the fine art contest, and my image, which is photography at that contest, usually doesn't win much of anything, but I won something called the purchase prize, which was $500. And I was totally not expecting it. And this was like back in the early 90s. Like it was a long time ago. $500 was considerably more then. And I got my picture in the paper and all kinds of stuff. And my image ended up being hung in a corporation lobby. And so a corporation bought my image, paid for the fee. And then I won a bunch of stuff at a couple of horse expos where it was very equine specific art. And I really have enjoyed entering contests over the years. And I prefer straight up photography contests rather than fine art contests, but there's also those. If you shoot fine art photography, there's a lot of those contests out there that you can enter. Phyllis, I know you have had a lot of good vibes from photography contests too, haven't you?
I was going to say, I agree with all of that. I think I honestly believe that the contests I entered early in my career are a reason I am where I am in my career, because I know the very first contest I entered, I was scared too. I mean, like, I don't know, putting yourself out there and everything, but I did. It was the Atlanta Flower Show, which back then was a really big deal here because it was like a very prestigious photography. It was all photography. It was a very prestigious contest. And I won and got 2 first places on other images. I won the best in show, plus 2 other images were first in their categories. And I was like, I think it was the first time I had a real, kick in the butt that I had nice work, and it was just, and I'm like you, Kim. I mean, I won a Canon camera. It was like a 1500 DSLR. Yeah. And then they also had cash out, and they had a bunch of other things, that vendors, because it was a big vendor show also. And they had a bunch of other things. I mean, the bling from that I got from that one contest was like amazing. And it just made you go, oh, wow, this is fun, But yeah, I think, and the notoriety I achieved from that one contest. And then, the other things that I've done early in my career, I don't really do contests much anymore, or at all. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a great way. It's a great way to learn about from the critiques and everything. It's just, yeah, I totally agree. Do it.
The validation is very nice. That said, if your image doesn't win, it's really important to understand that photography, like all art, is subjective.
Sure.
And we all judge it differently. And if you don't win and you feel your image still has a lot of merit, don't trash it or feel bad about it. It's just go back and enter it in a different contest. I've had images that did poorly in one place that won in another. So it's just subjective to the judges. There's not a lot of definement even in the thing that I'm going to talk about, which is the 12 elements of an image. That is, this is PPA, Professional Photographers of America's standard for their merit image review. So each image is judged based on 12 elements. Now, this is a contest in the terms of you're entering your image for people to look at and judge. Merit image review, however, isn't where you're going to win. It's kind of a pass-fail grade, so to speak. So either your image merits or it doesn't. And the reason why in PPA we do merit images is to earn credits toward degrees. So by showing our work and showing what we can professionally do, then we can earn street cred, so to speak, photographer street cred. So it's kind of cool. And I am definitely working toward a master's degree with PPA. And so I want to cover those 12 elements of an image. The first one is impact. So let me give you the laundry list, and then I'm going to pick a couple out that I want to talk about a little deeper. So the 12 are impact, technical excellence, creativity, style, composition, presentation, color balance, center of interest, lighting, subject matter, technique, and storytelling. And actually, number 1 and number 12, to me, are 2 of the most important elements in those 12 elements. And I think they kind of go together. So impact and storytelling. I've done as a hobby, not as a professional, because I love it. I've done a lot of rodeo photography. Anytime there is a rodeo that is outdoors, I like outdoor rodeos. I love to go photograph the rough stock. So those images have impact, and I've had several of those images merit within PPA. So impact is important, and storytelling is important. And it's really interesting when you go to pick your image and look at your image for entering it into a contest. Definitely consider those two things, because a lot of times if we look at some of the other pieces in between the sandwich of impact and storytelling, there are things that we can all accomplish in a relatively concise manner, but impact and storytelling are going to make the difference between a image that is passable and an image that is unforgettable. And that's what I think judges are looking for. So going down the line from that, technical excellence is all of the things that compose a good photograph. Is your exposure correct? Are you using your light effectively? When you processed the image, did you do so correctly? Is there any place where we can tell that you have cloned something? If you made manipulations to the image, did those manipulations become obvious manipulations, or are they seamless so that the viewer doesn't even recognize that part of the image might have changed? Creativity and style are very important in looking at your images. You do want something that is creative, that definitely sets itself apart from the other images in the contest. And style is important too, so that you can demonstrate your style. I think we've recorded a podcast episode around style, haven't we? Like looking to start to develop your style. Kara's looking at me like I've lost my mind.
I think we talked
about it.
I can't remember anymore.
Yeah, I know it's starting to get confusing, and I put them all in the community last night. I don't know. You guys probably got 60 notifications this morning, but I'm putting all the podcast episodes in there. I'm like, wow, we've done a lot. Okay, squirrel. Back to focus. So style and creativity are key. And I think they're key in setting you apart from the other people that are in this particular contest. Also, composition, knowing the rules of composition and knowing when to break them. I think that's important as well. And also, this is a place where judges can either really love what you choose to do, or they can poo-poo it because you broke a composition rule if you choose to do so. Presentation is where I failed at the beginning of my PPA merit image review system. Presentation is very important in this particular category, and I think it's true of any contest that you enter. And that's one of the places where you really do need to read the rules. I'm not a big rule follower, so I didn't read the rules, and I didn't get merits on my first few images because I didn't have them properly presented.
Shame on you.
I don't tend to follow all those things, which is why my first sourdough loaf failed.
I was going to say, I can't imagine Kim not following the rules, really.
I'm a born rebel. What can I say? But apparently that doesn't go over well with merit image review. So, presentation is important. Color balance, center of interest. So holding the viewer's interest. Lighting, photography is painting with light. The subject matter is important, and especially if you're entering an equine photography contest, that you have pictures that are equine related. And then your technique is also important. And so you can consider those 12 elements of a merit image. And we'll put a link in the show notes to PPA's page around the 12 elements of an image for merit image review. But I think they're a good place for you to start looking at the images in your catalog and think about the ones that might work well for a contest.
That was great, Kim. All good advice, and good to know exactly what the points are that PPA does require. So I am going to talk about my judging experience. I wouldn't say that I'm a big time judge, but I have had some experience judging, camera clubs online, in person. And then most recently, I had the honor of judging the prestigious International Pet Photography Awards, where they had over 3,600 entries, which was kind of daunting at first, but I got through them. So each competition, of course, had its own judging guidelines and scoring criteria, along with a point system to follow. For most, I was required to score and then give feedback. Actually, for all of them that I've done, I had to give feedback for my reasons for scoring it the way I did. Thankfully, the bigger contest will do their own vetting of entrance images. This means examining them to ensure that they meet all the rules and standards. It's kind of like a quality control check to make sure that it even belongs in the contest, or it's following the rules that their guidelines are. If we felt that we were unable to fairly assess an image due to a bias or against a particular style of work or subject matter or knowledge of the work or of the work itself or the photographer's work or the photographer that that entered, we were to abstain from scoring, which I think is another way to keep everything on the up and up. Our role as a judge is always to evaluate images honestly, fairly, and consistently. Of course, Kim kind of went over these, but judging is very subjective. Of course, factors that can guide the decision-making process as a judge are, like Kim said, camera technique, lighting, composition. If it's a animal contest where you have animals by themselves or humans with animals, posing and body language are very important factor to consider. Post-production, of course, and all the things Kim mentioned about cloning and, making sure that it doesn't scream something you did to the image. How well does the image communicate the story or message? And originality was a big one I think for everybody. When you get a contest that big with that many entries, of course, you're looking for originality. When I'm judging, I like to think about how the image might connect with the real world. I ask myself, would I hang this on my wall? Would I stop and look at it in a magazine or imagine it in an art gallery? I think we all get really attached to our images. And while these personal images that we absolutely love really do have value, their reach out in the real world is kind of limited. So when choosing your best work to enter, imagine it as another photographer's work and think about what the ideal setting is for that image. That'll help you kind of pick the right images to enter. For me, when I'm scoring, my top scoring images need to hit me on two levels, in my mind and my heart. I need to connect with it emotionally, not just intellectually. And my last thought says, I like to just make a comment about my experience entering contests. And I know it can be tough to share our work and hear what others think, especially when the feedback isn't always positive. In my personal experience, this is just my personal experience, defensiveness for me is a red flag that often is a sign I need to listen even more closely to the feedback. I'm truly grateful when someone takes the time to explain why my work didn't connect with them. So and my final thought is just be thankful for another perspective and hope that you can use it to grow as an artist.
I love that. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to hear what people
it is.
People think about your work. Yeah.
Because they're all that's like our children, isn't it? I mean, we just we get so connected and attached to our work, our art.
Whenever that happens with me and I'm confident that the image is something that I love, I have to remember that everybody brings their life experience to when they look at it, and their life experience is different than mine. So it initiates different feelings and opinions in them. And the subjectivity of art may mean that we all view it differently, but the upside is we all view it differently. So I think it's an interesting paradox that we get ourselves in.
That's why we always say there's something for everybody. Just because you didn't like it doesn't mean that the other 10 won't.
Yeah, there's lots of things that are hanging on people's walls that I would never hang on my wall.
I look around my office. There's images in here that have won contests, and there's images that never made it, like even got bad reviews that I absolutely adore. There's one that's hanging right up here that I look at every day and it makes me incredibly happy, but the judges didn't like it. And you know what? That's okay. It makes me happy. It's hanging in my office, not theirs.
Yep.
There you go.
And in the long run, we're the one that we really have to please, not somebody else, isn't it?
Yep, exactly.
Well, I hope this inspires somebody out there. I know we've had a lot of conversations recently with mentees too, asking about this subject matter. So hopefully this hits home for folks. If you would like to hear more from us, we are now on YouTube, as we've mentioned, and so you got the audio, you have the video version now, and you can also find us online at cowgirlswithcameras.com. That's where you can find a list of all of our upcoming events that you can join us at, and we're on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Cowgirls with Cameras. So come over and join the conversation.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Cowgirls with Cameras. Don't let the laughter and learning stop here. Join our community on social media and be sure to visit our website for more opportunities to fulfill your photography goals. Head to cowgirlswithcameras.com. That's cowgirlswithcameras.com. See you next time.